for years, we've seen Republicans go against the grain when it comes to what the American citizens want. A majority of American citizens, for example, are in favor of expanded background checks. A majority of American citizens are in favor of access to reproductive rights. A majority of Americans are in favor of gay marriage. But it doesn't matter to Republicans what the American citizens want. It only matters to Republicans what Republicans want. And the new administration, the Trump administration, is no exception to that rule. They are doing things that are extraordinarily unpopular among the American people.
But none of the stuff that they're doing is popular. I mean, the Wall Street Journal now reports that Trump has an executive order that was ready to go as soon as today to shut down the U.S. Department of Education. Shutting down the U.S. Department of Education is wildly unpopular among the American people. The latest Reuters Ipsos poll asked specifically, should the U.S. close down the Department of Education? 32% said yes, 66% said no. By a more than 2-to-1 margin, Americans say, don't shut down the education department. Do Americans feel strongly about that? Yes, they do. Americans who strongly oppose shutting down the education department outnumber Americans who strongly like the idea by a 30-point margin. A lot of what they're doing is very unpopular right now. So much so that Aaron Blake at the Washington Post today nutted some of it up under the headline, "The Many Unpopular Things Trump is Doing Right Now." And the numbers, speak for themselves. Laying off large numbers of American workers, a huge majority of the country is against that. 58% of the country is against that. Dismantling USAID, which provides foreign aid, another big majority against that. 58% against in one poll, 59% in another. How about trying to take the Panama Canal somehow? No, the American people say no to that in huge numbers. 65% opposed. Freezing funds for public health agencies, 67% opposed. Renaming the Gulf of Mexico for some reason? No, 70% of Americans oppose that. How about pardoning the January 6th defendants who attacked the Capitol for Trump? The American people are against that by an almost unimaginable margin. Numbers like this don't exist in polling. But 83% of Americans are opposed to the fact that Trump did that. And ultimately, this matters, pulling genius economic moves that send the markets and other economic indicators into free fall, trying to pull off genius ideas like cutting off the funding specifically to sterilize medical instruments for when veterans get surgery, trying on all these other things that are so radically unpopular, it matters, right? It creates an inhospitable political and democratic environment for them to try to continue these things. It does enforce some political and public opinion discipline on them for trying this stuff. It's what leads to the street corner protests and the state capitol protests and the town halls that Republican members of Congress are now too scared to continue. All of these things matter. They all create democratic friction.
And it shows that the Republican Party does not give a fuck what the American people want. They don't care. They're going to do what they want, no matter what you want. So how about we stop electing motherfuckers that don't want to do what we want them to do? Especially considering we're their bosses. If you ran a business, if you owned a restaurant, and one of the people that work for you, or one of your chefs, or one of your waitresses, or one of your busboys, didn't do what you wanted them to do, what would you do? You'd fire them and find new workers.